What's happening, people of the internet? So today I wanted to do something slightly different to my usual Frankie's Aquatics videos. There's obviously a very good reason as to why I'm doing this too. It's not just to go at somebody. I'm not just trying to find faults with anybody. I'm not just trying to find faults with certain establishments. But it's something that I can talk on because I've had years upon years upon years of bad practice from this particular store. So today I wanted to talk about a company on this side of the pond in the UK, which is known as Pets at Home, and just highlight a few things that kind of don't sit quite right with me and I feel they should change. So for many of you that have followed me for quite a while, you'll know that it's not always been about aquatics. I've also kept several reptiles over the years, and I've always gone to places like Pets at Home for my food, for my reptiles in the past. I know friends that have been there for reptiles in the past, and there's a few things that really need highlighting. So first and foremost, a disclaimer: little old me with less than 100 subscribers isn't trying to take down some sort of establishment. I'm not going in these places looking for faults. I'm not purposely going in there trying to say I'm better than you and waving my magic stick at them. This is just completely from observation of myself and for the close friends and family around me that have also had bad experiences with this place called Pets at Home. So it started for me years ago when I noticed they had information boards up around certain animals that they're selling in the store. This can be easily forgiven. Pet stores are renowned for giving out false information, not maliciously, but just because they work with so many different animals, they can't specialise. Well, most pet stores can't specialise in every single animal that they sell. I get that. But what worries me is when they're displaying dishonest and incorrect information on their information boards. I've seen it when it comes to hamsters, I've seen it when it comes to rabbits, I've seen it when it comes to reptiles, more so reptiles. That's the concerning part for me, because that's where my knowledge stepped in. So I used to breed royal pythons, also known as ball pythons. I used to breed them, I did for several years, along with a few friends. We had our own small business at home, and we successfully bred several sorts of ball pythons, royal pythons. One day in particular, I went into Pets at Home, and I noticed that they just started selling reptiles. So me being a reptile person, went straight over to see what they had, and noticed straight away they were selling royal pythons. Perfect, I thought. Massively overpriced, but that's a whole different issue. I went to have a look. I was quickly greeted by a member of staff who asked if I'd like to see the snakes. So I thought I'd use this opportunity just to pretend that I didn't know much about them, and just to see what information they kind of relayed back to me. I was greeted with a baby royal python, no bigger than the palm of my hand, very small. It was a spider morph, which are renowned for having the head wobble and the corkscrewing. If you don't know what that is, basically it's a genetic default that kind of came up through the spider morph, which is a different coloration of snake. It came up through the royal python spider morph, and basically the heads of the snake kind of wobble slightly, and when they focus to strike, their head wobbles. In severe cases, they can even corkscrew, which is where they can't kind of work out what's upside down and what's not, and they tend to corkscrew. It's a little bit uneasy to see. It's very upsetting if you don't know especially what it is, and unfortunately there's very little that can be done. It's a genetic default that people argue that the spider morph should just be eradicated, not put to sleep ones that are here, but they should stop breeding that particular morph. I have to agree, personally I think it's cruel. Not purposely cruel, but I think it's a little bit insensitive to continue breeding a morph with these sort of problems. Anyway, back to the story. So basically I noticed it had a slight head wobble, and it was slightly corkscrewing ever so slightly to the right, if I remember correctly, and in the palm of my hand it was all balled up, and it was looking at me in strike position, which is good. It means he's looking for food or he's looking to protect himself. And he had his head arched back, but he was given the wobble, and he was slightly corkscrewing. Only ever so slightly, but it probably would have got a lot worse as he had got older. So I spoke to them, I asked them, I said, so what snake is this then? And the woman looked at a little sticky note list and she said, it's a royal python. I thought, fair play, they've just started keeping this sort of particular animal, so maybe that's why they're referring to the little sticky notes on the little board that they had. And I said, so what's the upkeep of this? What temperatures, what sort of environment do they need, what do they eat? I was told the right temperatures, I was told the incorrect husbandry on how to keep them. I was told they needed a lot of height, which in particular they don't. They're quite happy to be ground dwellers. They'll stay at the bottom. Yes, they like to climb if the option's there, but they were basically trying to say that height was more important than size, which is not true. Not true at all. And they told me that they eat mice. And I was like, oh, okay. I mean, don't get me wrong. When they're babies, they may eat mice. As they progress and get older, they have to, in my opinion, they have to switch over onto rats. It's more nutritious. It's got more value to them. It will fatten them up quicker, and they won't constantly be looking for food as they would if you fed them mice. So I thought I'll fish a bit longer. So I kept asking questions, and unfortunately they didn't know the answers to most of them, to the point where they were even just making things up, which really frustrated me. I was told that the brilliant eaters, the brilliant eaters, which royal pythons, if anyone keeps them, will know they are pronounced picky eaters. Sometimes they will strike, take the food, and then leave it. Sometimes they won't strike at all, despite them being hungry. They're just really picky eaters. I was told complete opposite. I let the woman at the time ramble on for a little bit, and then I asked her, I said, so, do you keep these snakes? Oh, no, I don't like snakes myself. I said, oh, okay. And I thought nothing of it. I went away, I left it. I came back a couple of weeks later. I was greeted by another member of staff in the same store. And I asked the same questions again. I asked temperature. At this time I was given the wrong temperatures. I was told that they can eat chicks, mice, no mention of rats, which is the staple diet for a royal python. And it just kind of alerted me. I was a young lad, 17, 18, 19 at a push, and he knew very little about how to care for this animal. I wasn't trying to be like, I know more than you do, no. That wasn't my intention. I was just really worried, because I remembered back to when I was a kid. And I went to a pet shop, and I've always been fascinated by aquatics, always. And I remember the pet shop used to sell you a bowl, a really small bowl that was not suitable for anything, never mind a goldfish. And you were given a googly-eyed goldfish if you were lucky. And you were told to go home, feed it twice a day, do water changes once in a blue moon. You were told a misinformation. Now that's obviously back then, this is before the internet, this is before forums, this is before people that share the same passion as you in the hobby. You didn't have all this new information, and you were told that your goldfish will live 2 years, 3 years if you're lucky. Whereas now goldfish, as we all know, can live 20 odd years, I believe. It's ridiculous, and that's just down to the hobby getting better, getting more knowledgeable about what we're doing and knowing what we're doing a lot more. And it basically just shows that knowledge is power in hobbies like this. If you share knowledge with somebody and feed them the right information, they'll take that on, they'll do their own homework, they'll strengthen that knowledge, and they'll share it with the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. And that's how hobbies like our own, the aquatics and aquatic keeping, has grown and flourished into what it is today. Now, what worries me about pets at home is people will go in there, they'll see a snake, they'll see a bearded dragon, they'll see a hamster, whatever else it might be, and they'll be told information by the staff there which could be, not completely all the time, but could be completely wrong. Some people will take that as gospel. They won't go away and do the homework on the internet. They'll take that animal home, they'll pop it in them conditions that they're told to keep it in, and they'll raise it, and then they'll start scratching their head. When 5 months down the line, the animal's starting to act sick, not eating, not acting right, and they're going to question as to what happened. What did I do wrong? I did everything I was told. Why is my animal not acting right? Just a few more examples at Pets at Home. That's not the only case I've got. I won't name any names, but I have a friend just recently who bought a bearded dragon. She was sold the complete wrong equipment to look after the bearded dragon. She was sold one of those exo terra vivariums, which are great for many lizards and many spiders and all the creepy crawlies and all that fun stuff. But unfortunately, it's not going to last the lifespan of the bearded dragon. It's probably going to last a year if you're lucky. And it's not ideal because, for one, it won't hold the heat like a vivarium would. You can buy a vivarium set up from many places, £100, £150 all in, which will include the UV, include everything else that you need. Well, she was sold this pack, this set, which unfortunately included the wrong bulbs, didn't have the right equipment, They were put on sand originally, told to keep it on sand, it was fine. In the actual Pets Home itself, there were babies being kept with more babies, which obviously short term I suppose you can get away with in a pet shop. But ideally, we all know that dragons will bite other dragons, and fingers and toes and everything else will get snapped off. And unfortunately, unlike my favourite fluffy creatures in the water, axolotls, they won't grow back. They won't grow a toe. They won't grow a new arm. They'll just be left with a stump. Which isn't fair on the animal, isn't fair on the owner having the buying the animal in that condition. So they were sold the complete wrong equipment from the get-go. Now unfortunately, the dragon has since become very sick, and we're not too sure if it was down to impaction of eating some of the sand it was on in the pet store, or maybe the wrong sort of diet. We don't quite know, but unfortunately the bearded dragon has since been quite sick, and now it's taking veterinary care to care for the animal, to hopefully see the animal through this horrible time, which really, it shouldn't really have had to be put in the first place. So misinformation, wrong equipment sold, and I'm not saying they're doing this maliciously. I'm not saying they're doing this to make a quick buck. I'm saying what they're told is they're being taught misinformation. Don't know who by, I don't know if it's by management, I don't know if they go on training days, but 9 times out of 10, the staff you'll find, I can only speak for Pets at Home in Derby as well, both stores as well. I noticed that a lot of the staff there are young, nothing against that, but it's the information they're being told to share with the customer, which seems to be really off, to the point where they're mislaying wrongful information to the customer, which is just a massive no-no. Like I said before, this happens in this business, this happens in pet stores. Pet stores are renowned for it, for giving you misguided information. Again, not maliciously, not on purpose, it's just bad habits. It's not doing their homework correctly. Care sheets don't seem to happen anymore. What happened to a good care sheet? I don't get that. What is wrong with having a real information-packed care sheet where you go, look, I'll give you the basics, but go away and study this animal. Ideally, you should have studied the animal before you bought the animal. I get that completely, and I absolutely support that too. But here's a care sheet with information, key information that you're going to need to learn, as well as useful information of websites that you can visit to do more homework on this particular animal. I don't know. I might have just ranted off for a very long time. It's not going to make a huge difference. I've got 90 subscribers, I believe, right now, which I'm so thankful for, so thank you all so much. I'm not trying to take a dint in the profit margins. I'm not trying to have a go and shake the establishment, which is Pets at Home. I stand no chance. I just want to bring it to people's attention that don't take the information that you're shared or given, or anything for that matter, from pet stores, from Pets at Home. I find Pets at Home in particular, I've had far less problems with pet stores than I have at Pets at Home. Just take it with a pinch of salt. Always do your homework before you buy any animal. It's only right for you, and it's only right for that particular animal. Get obsessed about that animal. Do as much homework as you possibly can, whether it be online, but make sure the information that you're pulling is verified as true. There's a lot of false information out there, so do your homework wisely. Just be careful, just be cautious, and if anybody from Pets at Home that works there does watch this, please don't take it personal. It's not a personal attack on any individuals. I'm talking about the whole umbrella. I think it could be done so much better. I don't know, I've never worked at Pets at Home. I don't know what plans are in play to educate the staff and train the staff. But going on personal experience, the few things, well, not even the few things, there's a lot more things, but I'm not going to sit here and slate them for an hour. The things I have seen firsthand, the things I have witnessed, I am just very concerned about. I think it's terrible, I think it's quite scary, and I think there's just room for improvement. When I very first started keeping fish, I wasn't half as knowledgeable as I am now. When I first started keeping reptiles and breeding reptiles, I wasn't nearly as resourceful and clever up here in regards to that animal's individual need as I am now. It takes time. It's like studying. It's like when you're at school and you study for an exam. That's how it should be with an animal. You should study that animal. You should study before, during, and absolutely throughout that animal's life. You should be obsessed with providing the very best that you possibly can to care for that in particular animal. That's all I've got to say. I hope this has been well perceived. I hope people see my point of view and the feel as to why I need to stand here and talk in the video today about Pets at Home in particular. And like I said, if you do work at Pets at Home and you have got points that you'd like to make, then by all means, please do leave your comments below. I'm not ignorant. I won't ignore the comments. I won't delete the comments. Nothing will be, I'll happily hold a conversation with anybody that wants to defend that corner. Absolutely, it's your right. If you work there, if you're a customer there and you're happy, that's your right. Again, I can only speak from personal experiences, and I can only speak for the stores that I visited, which at the moment I've visited 2 in Nottingham, which weren't exactly great, if I'm honest. I think it was 1 in Nottingham actually. 1 in Nottingham, sorry, and 2 in Derby, where I'm from. That's it for today. Sorry it's been a long, massive, informed video. I hope it hasn't been too boring. I hope you've got the message as to why I decided to do this. Just do your homework, guys. That's all I'm saying. I don't care if you're buying a goldfish. I don't care if you're buying a massive, fully grown python, whatever else there might be said on that particular day. Just make sure you have the means and the funds to be able to feed that animal, care for that animal. And if you're buying a setup and all that fun stuff from there, make sure it's the right setup. Because it's very easy to be sold something that 5 minutes down the line that animal is going to outgrow. That's all I've got to say. I could go on for hours, I really could. Anyway, I hope you kind of enjoyed this video. I know it's a little bit different and it's not as jam-packed with animals as it normally is, it's just me talking. But I hope you understand as to why. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button, and until next time, ta-ta for now.